Appreciate the clarity of his remarks, and I'd like to add to them. And I'm glad we have some folks here today listening in. There's probably no other place in the country that you could hear so much nonsense than you're going to hear on the Senate floor today, and unfortunately just heard that from a colleague before, my colleague from Utah. The House just passed another resolution to fund the government, to fund the military for the rest of our year, pretty much at a figure we've all agreed on. It includes a funding just for 1 week to keep other aspects of the government open, and it makes some very modest cuts to our budget. Most of these have been agreed to in advance. But there seems to be one sticking point. This bill would prohibit funding using taxpayer money to fund abortions in D.C. My colleague who spoke just a minute ago said this is an invasion of reproductive rights. But I'm here to tell you that no one has a reproductive right to use somebody else's money for an abortion. And that's all this is about. Not only other taxpayers' money, but we're borrowing money to do something at a time when the country is nearly broke that Americans disagree on, and it violates the conscience of many Americans. But my colleagues on the other side have decided to make this the crucial issue. That either Republicans agree to use taxpayer money for abortions or they're going to shut down the government. And to say we're emphasizing social issues. This is not just a social issue, it's an American issue. Even people who support abortion support the idea that taxpayers should not be forced to pay for it. It's a small request. The cuts are small. But it is clear, as Senator from Utah just said, that this shutdown has been planned by the President and the Democrat majority for a long time, believing that they can win the PR battle, thinking that Americans are too stupid to figure it out. I'm confident as we go into this that Americans are much smarter than my Democrat colleagues agree. I think they're going to figure out how irresponsible the President has been, how much lack of leadership there's been here in the Senate. Trying to blame Speaker Boehner in the House, who controls one half of one branch of government, for a shutdown, when last year, when the President controlled the whole government, we didn't pass a budget, we didn't fund any aspect of government, and this landed in the lap of the new Congress, which still includes a Democrat majority here in the Senate. There has not been one bill from the Senate that the Democrats agree on. The President has not sent down one funding request that we could vote for. We don't have a bill proposed by Senator Harry Reid today that we can vote for to keep the government open. But yet he's saying what the Republicans on the House side are sending over is not good enough. The House just passed another bill. 15 Democrats voted for it. If we had 15 Democrats here in the Senate who were reasonable, we wouldn't have to deal with this ridiculous, irresponsible government shutdown. I don't know what else Republicans in the House could do. They sent over 40 days ago, a bill that would have funded the government through the rest of the year with very, very nominal cuts. It was set up to fail here in the Senate. And we've yet to have hardly any debate on the issue. During all this time, we spent less than 3 hours of debate on the most important issue in the country. We spent the last couple of weeks on a small business bill. I bet no American could tell you what we're even talking about. And before that, we spent a couple of weeks on a patent bill. Anything we could do to avoid the responsibility of debating the most pressing issue in this country. And I also have to take issue with what the Democrats are trying to do here with the Tea Parties. And I'd like to remind them that many, many Tea Party members are Democrats, and they're independents, and they're Republicans, and many of them have never been involved with politics before. Many are Hispanic and African American, and they're all Americans, but they're concerned about our country. They seem to be able to do something we can't do here. They add and subtract, and they understand you can't keep spending more than you're bringing in and expect the country to survive. We even brought up a resolution here, the senator from Utah did, to have a sense of the Senate that we should balance our budget. Just about every Democrat voted against that. Do you know what that means? That means that there is an intent to bankrupt our country, because there's no other way around it. If you keep spending more than you're bringing in, you will bankrupt our country. That's the course this president has got us on. That's the course that Senator Reid and the Democrat majority here in the Senate want to keep us on. And when we try to do even modest, nominal reductions in spending, just to change the trend line, they are coached, as Senator Schumer has said, to call it extreme and to blame it on the Tea Parties. Americans are smarter than that, and I think my colleagues are getting ready to figure that out. So we come down to the bottom line that the senator from Utah just mentioned. Why are they doing this? They look back to 97, they're back in the 90s. They think that they can win the PR battle. And even more important, the president needs a distraction. The focus on the president now is revealing a lack of leadership in domestic policy and foreign policy. He's led us into a mess in Libya. He's led us into a domestic mess and has us on a course to bankrupt our country. He's trying to take over health care, and all those unions and other people who are advocating for it are now asking for waivers. There have been over 1,000 waivers to people who want to get out of this health care bill. This financial re-regulation, Dodd-Frank bill, is threatening to hurt our economy even more. The president needs a distraction. And this is a choreographed distraction to close the government down, to draw attention, to try to shift the blame from a president who's been AWOL from leadership and has very, very little political courage. And that's what we need right now across America. That's what Americans are asking us to do, is to keep fighting, be bold. This is not a matter of partisan politics as much as it is a matter of national survival. We have to make some hard decisions. We can't keep spending more than we're bringing in. We've got to do what families do, tighten our belts, balance our checkbooks. These are not radical ideas. All we have to respond to is what the House has passed today. The Senate Democrats who control this place have not offered any solution. The president has not offered any solution. And I suspect that we will not even be allowed to vote on the one option we have, is what the House sends over here. Yet they think Americans are so stupid that they can come down to the floor and blame the Republicans, who really have no control of the situation except to send us what they think is best from the House. And that's what they're doing. And they need to be applauded. Speaker Boehner has done everything he can to try to work with all parties here to responsibly keep this government going. At the same time, to recognize we cannot keep this reckless spending the president has been doing the last couple of years. This is an urgent and serious matter that I'm afraid is being played as a PR game by the other side. The misrepresentations I heard just before about the budget being proposed on the House side are very difficult to swallow. The truth is very rare here in this body. I hope all Americans will take the time to look at what's really going on, because this is all a blame game, and the Democrats are counting on Americans not paying attention and to take their cues from the national media. We're going to do everything we can here to keep the government open, to responsibly respond to what the voters told us last November, and not to play the blame game with the other side. But this is being played as a game instead of a matter of serious national survival, a serious national issue. But the bill that we'll have a chance, hopefully at least to debate, that the House just passed, will take our number one responsibility to defend our country, to fund our troops, and to make sure that's done for the balance of the year. We can argue about the rest last week, but let's fund our troops this week and do what we were sent here to do. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll of the...
Mr. Akaka.